Everyone keeps asking the same question. Is the Iranian regime about to fall? Some say collapse is imminent. Others insist the system is rock solid and here to stay. Both narratives are comforting. Both are wrong. What's actually happening inside Iran is more complicated and far more dangerous. Because Iran is entering the most volatile condition any state can face. Not strong enough to reform. Not weak enough to collapse. And that's where history gets unpredictable. The regime should have fallen, but didn't. Let's be honest. The Islamic Republic has struggled. Inflation has crushed savings. The currency has collapsed repeatedly. Water shortages are becoming existential. Sanctions have cut deep. From the outside, it looks like a system that should have broken long ago. But here's the inconvenient truth. For over 4 decades, the regime has survived a devastating war with Iraq, waves of internal protests, maximum pressure sanctions, diplomatic isolation, economic stagnation. Survival is not accidental. The system was designed for endurance, not prosperity. Cohesion over popularity, security over growth, control over legitimacy. The real question is not, why has Iran failed? It's, why hasn't it fallen? Meanwhile, we need to talk about the West's strategic fantasy. For years, Western policy has swung between 2 fantasies. Fantasy 1. Pressure will change Iran's behavior. Fantasy 2. Pressure will collapse the regime. Neither has worked. Sanctions have not triggered regime change. In many ways, they've hardened the system. When a country feels besieged, dissent becomes easier to label as foreign-backed. Isolation strengthens hardliners. Look at Cuba. Decades of pressure, no collapse. The 2015 nuclear deal with Iran briefly disrupted that dynamic. Engagement created internal uncertainty. Economic opening threatened entrenched networks. For a moment, the regime faced a dilemma. Then the deal collapsed. Hardliners concluded. Confrontation works. And the system closed ranks. But here's where the conversation gets uncomfortable. Because collapse isn't the same as liberation. And weakness isn't the same as fragility. Let's be real. The authority in Iran is without legitimacy. It's true. The regime lacks broad legitimacy. But legitimacy is not the same thing as authority. Authoritarian systems don't fall when people stop believing in them. They fall when the security forces fracture. In Iran, the decisive institutions are the Revolutionary Guard, the Basij, the intelligence services. As long as those remain cohesive, protests, however courageous, struggle to translate into systemic change. That's not cynicism. It's the pattern of modern authoritarian states. The system doesn't need to be loved. It just needs to remain intact. Another illusion is that the Iranian people share one political vision. They don't. Anger is real, but so is fear. Fear of ethnic fragmentation, economic collapse, becoming Syria, becoming Afghanistan, becoming Libya. Those examples are not abstract. They are constant reference points inside Iran. Even opposition movements struggle with credibility. Calls for restoring monarchy under figures like Reza Pahlavi reflect genuine nostalgia among some, but they also highlight a deeper issue. There is no broadly unified alternative ready to govern. Revolutions succeed not just because regimes are weak. They succeed because alternatives are strong. And now we arrive at the most uncomfortable part. Because many assume regime collapse would automatically be good. History says otherwise. So what will happen if the regime falls? Iran is not a small state. It's geographically central, ethnically diverse, militarily significant, nuclear capable. A sudden collapse would not produce a smooth democratic transition. It would create a power vacuum in one of the most volatile regions on Earth. Possible consequences: ethnic fragmentation, proxy wars, regional intervention, criminal networks, proliferation risks. And if nuclear infrastructure exists in a collapsing state, that becomes a global crisis overnight. For Europe and Turkey, migration pressures would surge. For the Middle East, security dynamics could unravel. None of this defends the status quo. It simply recognizes the risks of chaos. Why military solutions don't solve this? Calls for airstrikes, decapitation strategies, covert destabilization. They sound decisive, but external force cannot manufacture internal legitimacy. Even large-scale strikes on nuclear or missile facilities would not necessarily shift the internal balance of power. Authoritarian systems are designed to absorb shocks. Removing individuals rarely removes structures. Regime survival depends on cohesion, not buildings. What is the most plausible future for Iran then? So what's more likely than collapse? Internal adaptation, not revolution. Evolution. Authoritarian regimes sometimes liberalize, not because they become democratic, but because survival requires adjustment, economic pressure, generational turnover, strategic recalculation. Change might come from within the elite, not from the streets. That wouldn't be dramatic. It wouldn't satisfy maximalists, but it might preserve stability while opening space for gradual transformation. Iran will change. The real question is how. Will it be managed or chaotic? A system too rigid to reform risks rupture. A system that collapses risks prolonged instability. Between those outcomes lies a narrow path. And here's the part many ignore. That path will be shaped primarily by Iranians, not foreign powers. The loudest voices in the debate often assume they can control the story. They can't. And that may be the most important reality to understand. If you enjoyed this video and analysis, please hit the like button.